I found it in the 1950s when I was going to school in Colorado. I grew up in California, and I was traveling back and forth, and I used to like to explore. I still do, but I just found this canyon by exploring, and I was looking for shortcuts, just different ways going back and forth to Colorado. After the death of famous actor Robert Redford, his wife Sibylle Szaggars has finally decided to talk about her husband's sad death. In a shocking story, Szaggars has shared personal details about Redford's last days, telling us a clear picture of the Hollywood star's private struggles and the heartbreaking events that finally led to his early death. But what untold story has Sibylle Szaggars told us? And what secrets of Redford's life have stayed hidden until now? Join us to learn about the real Robert, which was behind the face on camera. A young life tested by sickness, Robert Redford faced many hard times when he was young. His early life was full of sickness, worry, exploring, and the sad death of his mother. These problems shaped him into a person who had a strong but weak center inside. Himself, Redford's life changed completely at age 11 when doctors said he had polio. This disease, which had hurt families around the world, made families very scared. Polio was not just a sickness, but a word that made children and parents feel afraid. Whole communities felt helpless as they watched its terrible effects, leaving some children disabled, others needing breathing machines, and sadly, some didn't make it. As a young Redford, he got sick after swimming in the ocean. The sickness came without warning, but its impact was huge. He found himself stuck in his bed for weeks, not having the strength to move right and the energy to enjoy a normal boy's life. Luckily, his condition was not too bad. He did not need the scary iron lung that haunted many children. But the memories of those weak days left a lasting mark on him, and the fear of what might have happened would always stay with him, even after getting better from the sickness. He couldn't shake off the memory of it. In the future, while working on a project about the Salk Institute, he thought about the close call with polio that could have taken more from him. The amazing discovery of Jonas Salk's vaccine, which came later, seemed like good luck to Redford. It marked a turning point where hope won over fear, and it meant something special to him. Polio also gave him a new chance. While he was getting better, his mother suggested a trip to Yosemite National Park. She hoped the natural beauty and fresh air would help him see the world differently after his sickness. This visit left a lasting impact on him. Being surrounded by the greatness of tall cliffs and falling waterfalls woke up something deep inside him. The big mountains, flowing rivers, and huge skies all connected with him in a way he had never felt before. He no longer just wanted to look at nature from far away. He now wanted to be completely part of it. The feeling got stronger during his 2 teenage summers working in Yosemite. Walking paths, climbing cliffs, and being in the natural environment was more than just work. He felt like the park had captured him, becoming part of his very being. It was like a safe place he could visit again in his thoughts and memories. Many years later, he would make a movie about Yosemite and say how that first trip was when he truly became aware of the world's beauty. After getting back his strength and feeling curious about what life had to offer, Redford started his college journey through a baseball scholarship. Thanks to his good grades and sports skills, he was able to get opportunities at the University of Colorado, showing a bright path ahead of him. Even though he seemed like a talented and energetic young person with many chances, there was a feeling of worry inside him. The temptations of college life, including parties, drinking, and the excitement of racing cars, kept pulling at his inner self. In the early 1950s, his life was almost ended by a moment of excitement. Driving at a dangerous speed of 90 miles per hour toward Santa Barbara, he skidded out of control and crashed. It could have killed him, but luck was on his side once more. Coming out of the crash unhurt, he realized how fragile life was. Yet, he kept struggling with making decisions. The most heartbreaking blow of his early years came next for Redford. Still, only a teenager at 18, he lost his mother, Martha, who had always been his steady source of strength and faith. This tragedy weighed heavily on the young man as he entered adulthood. Her death broke something inside him. The pain drove him deeper into drinking alcohol, leading to serious problems. He lost his scholarship, missed out on continuing his education, and gave up the stability that comes with school. Not only that, he also lost the one who had always kept him grounded. With his mother gone, the world seemed unpredictable. However, her belief in him continued even after she was gone. She had faith in his special potential, and eventually he would realize that she was right. But this didn't stop him from speaking his mind. Stay tuned, a journey through the storm of politics. Robert Redford did not want to become involved in politics. When he was young, he showed no interest in political matters and saw it as boring and uninspiring. Watching people like Richard Nixon rise to power in Los Angeles, Redford couldn't see anything special in him. If Nixon represented politics, then Redford saw it as lacking life and passion. He stayed away from the political world, firmly believing it had no value for him. However, surprises can often happen in life. The change in Redford's view of the world did not happen in the United States, but rather in Europe. When he was 18 years old, he went on an adventure across the ocean. He walked through the streets of Paris, experienced Florence, and found himself surrounded by art, history, and culture that was completely different from what he was used to in his homeland. While in Paris, he lived in a small bohemian neighborhood where students from different places gathered. These young people talked passionately about their country's equality and conflicts. Redford's first experience of feeling unprepared came during the Algerian War, where intense debates about politics, fairness, and government roles took place among students. He listened but admitted to himself that he didn't know much about his own country's politics, let alone world issues. This realization both embarrassed him and started something new. He started reading a lot, exploring works, not only by American writers, but also by French and Italian ones. He looked into conservative and liberal publications, studying their viewpoints. Slowly, he realized that America's view of itself was not the center of the world. Different countries had different views of America, ranging from admiration to criticism. This realization opened his eyes, changing politics from a distant and uninteresting subject to a powerful force shaping the rise and fall of societies. It became important to him. Even though politics influenced his thoughts, Redford stayed focused on the power of storytelling and art. He was convinced that movies had the ability to go deeper into human experience than political talk. Redford said that the Sundance Film Festival was not meant for politicians, but for creative people. In his view, Sundance was a place for stories that crossed boundaries and connected with the essence of humanity rather than promoting arguing and discord. He tried to stay away from politics, but he found himself being pulled back into it by history. The rise of Donald Trump in politics in 2015 brought strong feelings in Redford. At first, he found Trump's boldness and breaking of rules to be disruptive to the established system. He briefly found it refreshing to see someone disrupting the traditional ways. However, over time, Redford's feelings changed. In 2018, under Trump's leadership, he no longer felt like he belonged in his homeland. The country he once loved seemed to have turned into a place of hostility, division, and anger. Leaders promoted discrimination, while kind-hearted voices seemed to disappear. It was the first time that he openly admitted to feeling like a stranger in the United States. In 2019, he became more outspoken. He expressed concern not just about political dangers, but also about moral ones. He believed that the core values of the United States, such as freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the rule of law, and truth, were being threatened. He worried that this damage could go deep into the heart of the country. He believed that the current leadership put American ideals in danger and called for change. In 2020, during the election season, Redford made a rare decision to share his voting choice publicly. Usually, he kept his political preferences private, but this time, he openly supported Joe Biden. The importance was not in supporting a specific political party, but in protecting the nation's essence. He thought back to his youth under Franklin D. Roosevelt's leadership, where strong leadership was mixed with caring. Roosevelt gave hope to Americans during times of conflict and hardship. Redford wanted to see this combination of qualities once more. He feared that another term for Trump would permanently damage the nation. Redford argued that a leader who can heal the country is needed, especially facing natural disasters, deep social divisions, and a deadly pandemic. He believed that Biden represented the chance for a fresh start. Throughout his career, Redford avoided becoming a traditional politician. Instead of writing laws, seeking political positions, or giving speeches in a leadership role, he chose to think deeply, have conversations, and advocate for critical thinking. His understanding of politics was not driven by a desire for power, but rather by his personal experiences and observations. Traveling, actively listening, learning, and watching how society works. As time went on, He began to see politics as not just about governing, but as the driving force behind social progress and individual destinies. His experiences during his time left their mark on him, including the fights for civil rights, environmental protection, and the turbulent times of conflicting leadership. Each instance further showed him that politics involved not only using power, but also caring for people. But the truth about life is that it comes with struggles. What did he face? Let's dive into it. Robert Redford's family loss. Robert Redford had a life filled with success and fame. Yet underneath, there was a story of deep personal sadness. Throughout his youth, his family experienced heartbreaking events that left a lasting impact on his soul. As a teenager, sadness entered his life in a terrible way. At age 18, he lost his mother Martha to septicemia, a dangerous infection that attacks the bloodstream. Martha had faced difficult pregnancies in the past, including the devastating loss of twin daughters who did not survive childbirth. Despite being warned, she chose to give birth to the babies, which led to her health getting worse and ultimately led to her death. The pain of losing Martha was too much for Robert to handle. She had always been his strongest supporter, and her absence left him feeling lost. At that point, Robert had already felt the sadness of losing someone important. When he was a child, he had felt the sadness of losing his favorite uncle who died in World War II. He had also felt the pain of losing his twin sisters shortly after they were born. With his mother now dead, he found himself overwhelmed by grief at an age when most young people are usually experiencing happiness and excitement in life. Robert got a baseball scholarship at the University of Colorado, but struggled with grief, causing him to lose focus. Rather than succeeding in baseball, he turned to heavy drinking. His time at the university was chaotic and cut short. Some think he left on his own, while others claim he was forced to leave. Either way, his school life suffered, leaving him feeling lost. Desperate for a change, he turned to art and decided to start fresh in Europe in hopes of finding healing and a new path in life. Years later, tragedy visited Robert again as he started his own family with his first wife, Lola Van Wagenen. Their son Scott was born in September 1959, but sadly died from sudden infant death syndrome just 2.5 months later. At the young ages of 21 and 20, Robert and Lola were new parents faced with the devastation of losing their child soon. After starting their journey together, losing a child brings a pain that cannot be measured. Robert said that this pain never truly goes away. Even as life continues and more children are born, the memory of the lost child stays in the heart forever. Despite having 3 more children with Lola, Shauna, James, and Amy, the absence of Scott was always there. The family of James, lovingly called Jamie, faced more challenges in life due to his early birth and ongoing health problems. As Jamie grew up, his health problems got worse, eventually leading to doctors finding a rare disease affecting his liver and bile ducts. In 1993, he had 2 liver transplants to fight the illness. Despite the hardships, Jamie showed strength and determination. Using his struggles as motivation to help others, he started the James Redford Institute for Transplant awareness to offer support and information to people dealing with similar health battles. Additionally, Jamie pursued a career in filmmaking and became an advocate for environmental causes, showing bravery and caring in all parts of his life. In October 2020, Robert experienced another tragedy when Jamie died at 58 from cancer. The pain of losing a child is unimaginable, and losing 2 over a lifetime is a grief impossible to put into words. Robert stayed strong and calm. Even facing many sorrows, he knew that sadness is not something that can just disappear. It stays present, quietly showing up in unexpected moments, quiet thoughts, or in one's overall view of life. Even his marriage was affected by his inner battles. Robert's busy work life and inner demons put stress on his relationship with Lola. Despite being married for 28 years, the couple decided to separate in 1985. However, even after separating, they kept a strong connection, putting their children's well-being first and treasuring the love they once had for each other. Let's take a look at his love life and pain through it, a love that slipped away. Robert Redford experienced both highs and lows in his life with shining moments. In the public eye and private battles kept out of sight. One of the most touching parts of his life was his search for love, a journey that brought mixed feelings of happiness and pain. In his early 20s, back in 1958, he met Lola Van, a cheerful college student. Their connection was instant, going against all odds. They had very little, with just $300 in savings, and having to borrow a car for their wedding. But their journey was powered by love and hope. The life they led as newlyweds was simple yet hopeful. While Robert worked hard to build a career in theater, they were thrilled to welcome their first child, a son they named Scott, in 1959. Their joy was intense, but unfortunately, it was short-lived. A devastating blow came when baby Scott died from sudden infant death syndrome. The young couple was left broken, feeling responsible even though it was beyond their control. This loss stayed an unhealed wound that lingered, leaving a permanent mark on both of their lives. However, time kept moving forward. Robert and Lola grew their family by welcoming 3 more children. In 1960, Shauna was born. Then, in 1962, their son David James, also known as James, arrived. And finally, in 1970, their youngest child, Amy, was born. Their household quickly became lively, with the sounds of laughter and the warmth of family life. Despite the busy routine of raising kids, Robert's career in Hollywood started to grow. He became famous as a well-respected star worldwide, but ultimately found fulfillment in his main roles of being a father and a husband when the spotlight dimmed for more than 20 years. Robert and Lola were together, raising children and handling daily tasks while dealing with the challenges that come with fame. Despite their best efforts, their relationship began to fall apart over time. In the mid-1980s, they made the mutual decision to go their separate ways. The divorce was friendly with both parties, agreeing it was for the best. Although Robert felt sadness, he had hoped their love would last forever, showing that even in the world of Hollywood, a marriage could survive the strains of being in the spotlight. Sometimes, love may not be enough, no matter how strong it is. However, Robert never held any anger towards Lola. Instead, he respected her, appreciating the life they built together and taking pride in their children's achievements. Their joy came from watching their kids grow into strong, independent people. Unlike many high-profile breakups marked by chaos and controversy, their separation was marked by kindness, consideration, and respect. Following his divorce, Robert's romantic life went through various changes. He was romantically linked with several women, although those relationships were usually short. In 1987, there were rumors going around about Robert's supposed love affair with Brazilian actress Sonia Braga following their work together on the movie The Milagro Beanfield War, which Robert directed. The gossip kept spreading, but both parties didn't confirm or deny the talk. In the late 80s, Robert met Swedish actress Lena Olin during the filming of Havana. Their connection went beyond the movie set, but by 1991, their romance started to fade. Their brief but intense relationship added another temporary chapter to his love life. During the middle of the 1990s, Robert was seen with costume designer Kathy O'Rear. Their presence at public events seemed joyful and relaxed. Yet, their connection fizzled out shortly after, when love came quietly. After being married for over 20 years and experiencing a period of being alone, Robert Redford found himself in a place where he had achieved success, but still felt unfulfilled. Despite having a thriving career and a respected reputation, he wanted a deeper connection, something real and intimate. While he had achieved fame, he yearned for the comfort and security of lasting love. He always felt uncomfortable with the idea of dating. It didn't seem to fit into his life smoothly. Talking about it made him feel uneasy, as if it was something foreign to him. However, a change happened in 1996 at his beloved Sundance Mountain Resort, a peaceful retreat he established in 1968, surrounded by mountains and forests that showed his love for nature. Completely by accident, he happened to meet Sibylle, a German artist and environmental activist, while she was skiing, and he was enjoying the realization of his Sundance dream. Their meeting was simple, lacking any Hollywood glamour, just two people connecting in the peace of nature. Sibylle's amazing honesty made the meeting even more special. She confessed that she had limited knowledge about Robert and his extensive film career. Curious, she briefly watched some of his movies, but only in pieces. Despite this, she was able to understand his true nature without relying on them. This refreshing perspective allowed Robert to be seen as more than just a beloved star, but as a regular and genuine person. From that point on, a tender connection started to grow. Their relationship got stronger in a smooth and peaceful way. They didn't feel the need to show their love publicly. Instead, their love grew in subtle actions, shared walks, meaningful conversations, and constant companionship. They often talked about art, nature, and their dreams. Their shared concern for the environment brought them even closer together, giving their love not only personal meaning, but also a greater purpose. In 2009, following a long period of friendship, Robert and Sibylle strengthened their connection through marriage. The ceremony took place in a quiet and personal way in Hamburg, Germany. Rather than a flashy event, it was a quiet expression of commitment. By marrying Robert, Sibylle also took on the role of stepmother to Shauna and Amy, Robert's daughters, creating a harmonious and loving family unit. Robert often referred to her as the one who brought about a new beginning in his life. Her European background, her youthful spirit, and her creativity introduced him to a new way of seeing the world. To him, she wasn't just a companion, but a blessing, adding liveliness and a different viewpoint to a life filled with experiences. Their relationship was not based on seeking popularity, but rather grew from their shared values. In 2015, Sibylle established the Way of the Rain, an organization dedicated to promoting environmental awareness, and Robert supported her as the vice president. Their partnership showed that love has the power to bring about positive change with their hearts united in pursuit of a larger goal. But when it was about getting to the best parts, tragedy struck. Stay with us. A farewell that shines forever. As the new millennium unfolded, Robert Redford started to be more selective in the roles he chose. Instead of pursuing every project, he focused on stories that had meaning, even if they didn't always achieve commercial success. In 2000, he starred in The Legend of Bagger Vance, a movie that combined wisdom with quiet elegance. Several years later, in 2007, he both directed and acted in Lions for Lambs with Tom Cruise and Meryl Streep. Despite the lack of critical praise for the film, it showed his courage in addressing controversial topics like politics and war that many people avoided. In 2011, he directed The Conspirator, a film that showed the court case of Mary Sawyer, the only woman accused in the tragic assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. Shortly afterward, he brought out The Company You Keep in 2012, a story about a former extremist living in hiding. Alongside actors such as Shia LaBeouf and Julie Christie, Redford maintained a blend of entertainment and thought-provoking issues. Then, in 2013, he shocked audiences worldwide with a remarkable display of talent. In the film All Is Lost, he played a lonely sailor struggling against the elements, facing both physical challenges and emotional turmoil. The character had very few lines, relying instead on his expressions, gestures, and the power of silence. People were amazed by the bravery of his acting, and talk about potential awards began to swirl. This performance showed that despite his long career in the industry, he still had the ability to captivate and stir emotions. However, even the most extraordinary story cannot escape the unstoppable march of time. The news of Robert Redford's death on September 16, 2025, brought a wave of sadness across the globe. At age 89, he took his last breath in his beloved home in Sundance, Utah, with the scenic mountains as his backdrop and the peace he created around him. He said a final farewell. The announcement was soft yet powerful. A request for privacy was made, but sadness spread worldwide like waves in the ocean. Fans grieved, co-workers remembered, and people experienced the weight of not only losing a person, but an era. He was more than just an actor. He was a storyteller, an idealist, a fighter for truth and beauty. Tributes poured in from various celebrities and public figures. Jane Fonda expressed her fondness while Meryl Streep praised his bravery. Notable personalities like Barbra Streisand, Ron Howard, Mark Ruffalo, Morgan Freeman, Ben Stiller, Jamie Lee Curtis, and others highlighted his kindness and compassion. In addition to those in the entertainment industry, politicians like Hillary Clinton and authors like Stephen King also acknowledged his impact, showing that his legacy extended beyond the realm of film and television. The media found it difficult to capture his brilliance. Variety credited him as the creator of indie movies through his establishment of the Sundance Institute. The Guardian identified him as an important link between traditional cinema and the innovative movement of the 70s. The Los Angeles Times praised him as a symbol of his era, and in France, he was honored as a giant in American culture. Regardless of the language used, the consensus remained the same. Robert Redford had left a lasting impact not just on the film industry, but also on people's hearts. His eternal appeal did not come solely from his attractive appearance or natural charisma. It came from his willingness to take on meaningful roles. He confronted themes of corruption, grief, injustice, and human imperfections directly, wearing both his actor and director hats. He wanted movies to stay with people long after viewers left the theater. This ambition made him one of the enduring icons of Hollywood, a figure who lit up the industry for over 50 years. The passing of the individual is like the final chapter of a beloved novel that readers did not want to end. However, the legacy he has left behind is timeless. He gave audiences lasting movies, complex characters, and a festival that supports emerging artists. Despite his departure, his artistic vision continues. Although Robert Redford's time on the stage has come to an end, his influence remains strong. Despite his absence, his artistic vision and dedication to his work serve as a source of inspiration for many. Even though his voice is no longer heard, his impact lives on through his work, memories, and the artists he has inspired. What began at Sundance will continue to echo for years to come. Robert Redford's presence will always be felt in the world of cinema. What do you think about Robert Redford? How do these newly revealed details impact his legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more engaging stories.